When Ford invites you to be the first car journalist in the world to get a high-speed thrill ride sitting shotgun in a future model, you've basically got one job: do not throw up. Take it from me, that can be tougher than it sounds. What if you're set up to fail? What if the deck is actually stacked against you? What you're looking at here isn't just any old Mustang Mach-E. This is the forthcoming Mach-E GT, the one with 480 horsepower and loads more grip. Most importantly, we're not just driving on any old street loop, we're at Ford's private test track. In fact, we're on the twistiest, most challenging circuit the company's got, with loads of tight turns and up and down whoops in a sequence that's designed specifically to upset a car's balance. Maybe, just maybe, I should have waited a little bit longer to do this after getting my second COVID shot. Now, before I get ahead of myself or my lunch, let's take a closer look at what we're dealing with. All right, so how are you going to tell a Mach-E GT from a standard Mach-E on the street? Well, for one thing, this one is cyber orange, which you can't get on the standard car, but there are a lot of little differences here that I want you to take a look at. First of all, you've got this unique grille treatment. The standard model just sort of has sort of a plain finish. This actually has some interesting depth to it. They call it sort of a carbon finish, and this guy lights up at night. Whole new front fascia down here with a much more aggressive front splitter that sticks out about yay big. Plus you've got the active grille shutters here. We're going to get those open today. And you've got air curtains here that route air around this vehicle. We'll move back here and you'll see that we've got different wheels than what you've seen before on other Mach-E's. These are 20s. Normally you get 18s or 19s, and you got this neat open design. You've got these beautiful pin spoke alloys, which are actually specific to this model. And I don't just mean the GT, I mean the performance model. So these are 20s and they're an inch wider for extra traction. And they do a really nice job of showing off the Brembo 4-piston front caliper brakes, which you can get on the standard Mach-E, but what you can't get that are specific to this model are 19-inch front discs. Now, 19 inches, I've got a lot of cars that have wheels that are smaller than these brake discs. Looking at this is actually body color here. In the standard model, there's some blacked out trim here, so the color split's a little bit different. And here you've got gloss black trim, and the whole effect kind of makes this vehicle seem lower to the ground than a standard Mach-E. And that's not actually just an optical illusion. This vehicle sits 10 millimeters lower to the ground because it's riding on MagneRide suspension. Now, from here on back, pretty much the same story as every other Mach-E. There's a GT badge back there, but other than that, you've seen this film before. So, who's going to make me turn green this afternoon? Mr. Mustang himself, Dave Parasek. If you don't know Dave, he's not just another EV guy. In fact, not only was he instrumental in this model's development, he's the father of the Ford performance team and the driving force behind models like the Shelby GT350 and Raptor. He's a legit hot shoe, and this track is his office, so the kid gloves, they're off. However, our masks are on because Ford requires them for safety. And this is the first time any journalist has gotten the chance to be in the GT as far as I'm aware.
That's correct.
Now, every GT comes with all-wheel drive, and the standard GT offers 480 horses and 600 pound-feet of torque. We're in the Performance Edition, however, and that has even more twist, 634 pound-feet. That is a whole lot. I've driven the most powerful Mach-E you can buy today, the premium all-wheel drive, and it can scoot. But by comparison, it's only got 346 ponies and 428 pound-feet of torque. So we're talking about big differences here.
Okay, so here we go.
Oh yeah, the standard one doesn't feel like that already. 0 to 60 in 3.5 with this performance model.
Yeah.
What is it with the non-performance model?
It's about 3.8.
3.8, okay.
Yeah.
So either way, you're talking better than V8 gas, 5-liter GT performance,
yeah,
right?
You're talking wicked times.
So what do you tell your existing loyal V8 Ford GT owner that gets his doors blown off at a stoplight by a mom in an SUV packed full of kids and 2 trunks full of groceries? What do you say?
Go buy a Mach-E. You know, that's where a lot of the fun is. People who have not experienced the electrification, they don't understand what it's all about and what it can do for you. This is absolutely a Mustang. This gives you everything that you're going to want. And a lot of people, you know, it's funny, Chris, they say, well, it's an SUV, how can it be a Mustang? Well, it's not really an SUV. If you think about it, we've got a whole bunch of batteries sitting underneath you and I right now. And so that has pulled the center of gravity, not down to to the ICE Mustang, but pretty darn close, Chris.
Of course, it's not just the bigger secondary motor and the lower center of gravity that makes the GT as capable as it is. A lot of it comes down to the suspension itself.
MagneRide suspension basically allows you to get the best of both worlds. So if you want a comfort ride, so when you change your drive modes, and we'll talk about drive modes in a minute, MagneRide allows you to have both more of a comfort setting, and then also when you start to get real serious, tighten everything down, right?
Yeah.
And it's basically it's particles of iron in the oil, in the fluid, in the shock. And then
They just get electrified and they...
as you put a magnetic charge on, they align, and then it changes the viscosity, and then you're able to control it.
It's amazing tech.
It's hugely amazing, and it's over 1,000 times per second we can actually change, the damping. So when we go into a corner like this, the car is so smart, it knows all the sensors on board know what's happening, and that MagneRide suspension is adjusting so that it gives us the best performance. So that's something that's different on the GT. You can already feel.
Really good body control.
Yes.
You might not be able to tell on camera, but this is a pretty tight section here, and there is a lot of elevation change going, and it settles down beautifully. That GT-specific suspension works with upgraded brakes and model-specific summer tires on this Performance Edition to stick even harder. Sadly, Ford isn't yet sharing skid pad performance numbers, and those wider, stickier tires curb range some. The Performance Edition is only good for an EPA estimated 235 miles between charges, and the standard GT should manage 250. So those Pirellis, are they specific to this model?
Yes, sir.
Did you work with them?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that is a compound that's been formulated specifically for us, for this vehicle, so that it performs the way that we need it to perform. So they are Pirelli P0, but they're a special compound just for us.
The GT also gets an additional drive mode above the standard Mach-E's most performance-oriented setting, Unbridled.
But we also have, in the Unbridled mode, the GT brings in Unbridled Extend. And what that has been designed to do is give you more sustained power for track performance. So everybody knows that as you're pulling power out of the battery, you're going to get so much performance before your battery charge is going down. The Unbridled Extend is going to really allow you to have many more laps of fun. Versus what you would have if we just dumped all the energy and let you run that 1 or 2 laps and have all. And you can do that. You could go to Unbridled mode and you can do that, but you're going to be pulling that energy out. If you go to Unbridled Extend, you're going to have more fun for a longer period of time.
What else does that allow you to do? Are you loosening up the safety nannies at all, or what else are you doing?
We are. That's true. The safety nannies. I love how you say that. So we absolutely are loosening up the safety nannies and giving you more yaw, for instance. And so you can have a bit more fun. We also are bringing things like the sound is a unique sound that enhances that Unbridled Extend as well and really adds to the whole experience on the track.
Unfortunately, this was an early prototype vehicle, so while we could experience the feel of Unbridled Extend mode, we couldn't actually hear its unique soundtrack. One other neat thing about the GT though, more freedom. You can't turn off the stability and traction controls in a standard Mach-E, but the GT?
You literally can shut it all off, just like you can in a nice version of the Mustang. And the GT is the first time you can do that. There's a switch over here that allows you to do that next to the headlamp switch. The previous models did not have that, and the GT is bringing that in. So
that's
just
nice.
Adding more and more of those things that you would expect from a Mustang.
So you've got the defeat button, but what else is different inside the GT? Well, not too much. You get more supportive sport seats, some Miko suede trim, a smattering of subtle GT callouts on the armrest and sills, and that's about it. A bit more differentiation inside, a sportier wheel, or some unique cabin colors would go a long way toward making the GT's cabin feel as special as this vehicle actually is. Alright, now that we're done making small talk, Dave wants to put the hammer down. If we're going to squeal the tires and really get after it, Ford's safety team has mandated that we put on some brain buckets. And speaking of buckets, after powering around here at speed and flying through the air lap after lap, I could use one right about here. Now, that's no knock on Dave's driving. He's smooth, and an EV's power delivery is about as silky smooth as you'll find. But not being behind the wheel for myself and bouncing all over the place, my head just can't keep up today. Now, I've jumped desert race trucks, flung rally cars sideways through the forest, and I've been given more ride-alongs on racetracks with pro drivers than I have fingers and toes. But this is the first time I've ever come close to revisiting my last meal. Just look at my raggedy ass, especially when we kick the tail into the air mid-corner. Parkour! The car makes a much quicker recovery than I can. But it just settles right back down.
Yeah, it settles down, and so the great thing about this GT Performance is, Mustangs have always been rear-wheel drive, right? And we are biasing the power And the GT Performance, we're about 40 in the front and 60 in the back. So we're still giving you that Mustang. If you noticed a few times through here, I had that back walking out a little bit, right? And that's what that Mustang feel is all about, right? It's controllable, but I was able to get the back to step a little bit out, right?
The standard Mach-E defaults to more of a 50-50 torque split, so this model is more aggressive by nature, and Ford's goal was to make the GT feel even more like a rear-wheel drive car, a traditional Mustang that can hang the tail out just by moving your right foot. This experience has been great and all, but if you know me, I couldn't help but ask what's next for the Mach-E.
Chris, you know I can't talk about future product plans.
You know, you could hint.
No, I can't hint. You should enjoy what we're in right now.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I tried, fam. The bad news is I didn't find out what's next for the Mach-E line. The good news is I managed to avoid yakking all over Dave's shoes. That was an experience. You can definitely tell that this is not just any old Mach-E. But I did have a wicked headache for the rest of the day. So that is an exclusive ride along with the Ford Mustang Mach-E GT. Now, when can you get your hands on one? Well, they're going to be in dealers in late summer, early fall. And how much are you going to pay? Well, they start at $59,900, but this guy here is a little bit closer to the $64,000, $65,000 question. Now, my big question is, when the heck do I get to drive one of these things? It's going to be a little while longer, but stick with us. We're going to have a great first full drive. So, what do you think of the 2022 Mustang Mach-E GT? Is it worthy of the Mustang badge? Let me know in the comments, and please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. That way you can get all the latest news on EVs and, yeah, gas stuff too.